National Football League.
ESPN welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
The Packers' Forrest Gump. Who's Dad? And the indomitable spirit of Mott's Tonelli. Survivors, today on NFL Films Presents.
Hold on to your seats for this play, folks.
What kind of a call is that? This is when the big dogs come out. This one for toss.
NFL Films.
55.
So what are you looking at?
Attention shoppers, now get $200 worth of programming when you get DirecTV.
And now, see how the Butler does it. For the Green Bay Packers.
Leroy Butler's journey to the NFL encompassed a struggle for survival. It began in a neighborhood that was only a couple of miles away, but seems worlds apart from where he resides now.
You know, the thing about my neighborhood, it was just called a battlefield. And, you know, it was a situation where so many people killed.
They must have those chalk lines.
Right, and we used to play hopscotch with them. You know,
You mean hopscotch?
Yeah, you jump from guy to guy or something.
From
It
the
was like
line of the
yeah.
bodies?
It's kind of funny, but, you know, if you think about it, somebody just died there. But it was just so common, it never really bothered any of us.
Growing up, Butler was bothered by a birth defect that kept his feet in braces for 8 years and left him unable to play hopscotch or walk.
I had to spend almost about 14 months, actually, in a hospital. And they had to break my feet, you know, like 3 times and put them in cast to get them straight. And then after that, you know, I had to wear the braces for so long.
Can you remember the first time that you had your braces of your legs removed?
Yeah. Actually, it was by accident. You know,
By accident?
Yeah. My sister, she was coming down the stairs, and I was in a wheelchair, and I had the braces on, because in the house, I used to have to sit in the wheelchair for so many hours. That would help my feet stay straight. And she came down, and I guess she was, I'm not sure where she was going. She was in a big hurry. She knocked the wheelchair over, and my braces, they broke. And I was like standing up, and you know, first time I said a curse word too. And I'm just like talking and ripping, and my mom goes, "You're standing up." And
That's like that scene. Have you ever seen Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw that scene in Forrest Gump?
You know, it brought a tear to my mom's eye too, because it was the same way.
And like Forrest Gump, Butler has emerged with some diverse and unusual talents. In the last 3 years, he's combined for more interceptions and sacks than any other defensive back. And in one season, Butler wears out more pairs of cleats than most players go through in a career.
In one season, I know I go through maybe 65 or 70 pair. I mean, I get to the first, second quarter, I have to get rid of them.
How can you wear a pair of shoes out in a quarter? I mean, how can you wear them out that fast?
Oh, easily for me.
Well, where do you wear them out?
On the inside, right here on the arch support.
And that's because of the way you're pigeon-toed, it just wears them out?
Yeah, and it's dangerous because you can turn your ankle. If you ever watch me walk, you know, just see my left foot is turned so severely to where the right one was like trying to clear it. It's trying to get out of the way.
Let's go. Let's get it on.
While Butler's crooked feet have always been a concern, he's never worried about putting his foot in his mouth.
Leroy is one of my favorite players in the league because he's got one of the biggest mouths in the world.
That was Chris Phillips say he got his ass tore up today. They said Brett couldn't do it. I'm going to back up and let you focus in on it. That's what he said. He got his ass tore up.
Leroy will tell you anything about anybody, anywhere.
Just tell them the truth. They ran a fake play. They suck your ass. You got to say.
He will let you know exactly how he feels.
Get him out the game. All right, hold on. If he can't do count on Buffalo, he needs to be out of the game. He's nervous. Now put Vogel in there, somebody.
I don't know about the talking on the field, but he certainly tells me how to run the team.
You get in trouble sometimes for saying things.
Yeah.
Now, what's the worst example that you can think of putting your foot in your mouth?
Probably here recently, Eugene Robinson. He was going to Atlanta. If he left, I thought we'd be just a horrible secondary. And when I go to minicamp, I see Darren Sharper, you know, our second runner from last year, in the best shape of his life, making great plays. And I was like, God, Leroy, that was one time you should shut your mouth. Now Darren Sharper looks like he's going to be a Pro Bowl player, and now you look like an idiot.
On the field, Butler is no dummy. In fact, he is the smarts and soul of the Packers defense.
I think every defense has a heart, a guy who kind of pumps the emotion and the life into a team, and that's Leroy. He is the most highly regarded by offensive coordinators in the league.
Butler's in there tight as a drum, isn't he?
He's the guy everybody's trying to figure out where he is.
Hey, Tommy, 36! 36! Did Butler come there?
He's one of the best blitzing secondary players, one of the best cover strong safeties that I've seen. There are no tight ends that are going to be able to wiggle him.
If I'm putting a football team together, Leroy Butler's going to be there, and he's going to be my strong safety.
He is a football player. He's a football playing dude, and there's absolutely no question about that.
If we went back and we could pull out one play
Yeah.
that would be the resume of your career at this point, what would you say?
It'll be in 1993 when we played the Raiders. They threw a screen pass. I caused a fumble.
Did the Packers have the ball? Apparently they do.
Reggie White picked it up. And as he picked it up, he pitched it to me. And I ran it down, scored a touchdown, and I jumped in the stands. That was in 93, and that's when jumping in the stands all started.
It is a touchdown for Leroy Butler.
So that was the first Lambeau leap.
Yes, yes.
And Brooks has gotten all the credit.
All the credit. And now when people trade in 50-yard lines, he's to be in the end zone so they can catch a player.
Indeed, the Packers have followed in Butler's footsteps, and it's ironic that the pioneer of the NFL's most famous leap began his life barely being able to walk.
I'm Eastern.
And now, Texas A&M star linebacker, Dat Nguyen.
You have to walk a mile in a man's shoes to really know him. But to know Texas A&M linebacker Dat Nguyen, you first must step back 9,000 miles in 23 years. Ho Nguyen and his wife Tam fished for shrimp and raised 5 children in South Vietnam. Until that night in 1975. Their village was destroyed by the Viet Cong. Few escaped, and many were killed.
We heard bombs in the distance. We got word of the attack and escaped the night before. Our kids were still in their pajamas, and we couldn't take food or anything with us.
We were lucky to even be alive, and I was so worried for Tam and our children.
For weeks in the Cambodian Sea, we had little food, and I threw up from seasickness and morning sickness because I was 4 months pregnant.
After a difficult trip to America, a sturdy son named Dat was born in an Arkansas refugee camp. The Nguyen's would begin a new life far from Binh Da, which means Port of Rocks, in Rockport, Texas. The immigrants were unwelcome, and growing up, Dat was threatened and shunned.
You can't really trust anybody. You know, people always look at you and go, man, watch out for them. You know, you don't know they might be stealing stuff or something because you are different. Oh, they always make slanted eyes, you know, their fingers make your eyes small and calling you kook, and, you know, it's just little things. And then being that we're not supposed to be here, you know, go back to your country.
Worse, the Nguyen's and others were terrorized by the KKK and the white shrimpers who resented them for fishing their waters.
They was threatening to burn boats and burn houses and trailers and stuff. Most of the Vietnamese living in small trailers and stuff when they first come in here because they couldn't afford the houses and stuff. And they was just threatening to burn them out or whatever it took to get rid of them.
A truce ended the violence, but tensions still run deep to this day. Long, hot days on a shrimp boat were not for Dat. He yearned for something else, and he found it in junior high football. The only problem was he knew nothing about the game or the uniform.
Shoot, I looked at it and I was like, what you do here? You know how you put the pads in? I didn't even know they had pockets in there for the pads. And you know, you didn't know how to put the belt in the, certain holes and certain belt for the pads, the hip pads. And it was just something, an experience for a while, the first day or two. It was like, it was weird.
Once he got the pads on, he knew just how to use them.
I have this kid from Arkansas move in, and he's huge. We get on the field first day, and I want to just see how tough he really is, because I know how tough Dad is. So I handed this kid the football, and he started yelling, "Ah!" and screaming and everything. And I looked over at Dat, and Dat just got down in that famous squat, grabbed his nose guard like this, and this kid took off running, screaming and yelling, turned up. Dat broke his leg. You know, I have the kid 4 seconds.
A new job took his family to Corpus Christi, but Dat was a starter at Rockport High, so he stayed behind with neighbors, and his legend grew, literally.
Well, he gained 60 pounds in 1 year. He would eat 2 double meat, double cheese at a meal with the shake and french fries. He would eat a whole pizza by himself. Dad never ate with chopsticks in my house. Chicken and dumplings, he'd eat half the pot. And put it in fast enough with chopsticks.
By his senior year, the little shrimper weighed 240, and he left behind quite a weight.
When Dad hits somebody, it's unreal. It's just totally awesome. We played at a little school over here called Taft. They had a tailback run out on a little flare pass. Just about the time the kid turned and started up the field, Dad hit him, and it was like one of these cartoons that you see where he hits and this guy flies, just folded over like this. It was like a bullet hit him, it's boom like that.
Once an outcast, Dat was All-American in every sense, and UCLA, Michigan, and Texas A&M came knocking.
Because of football, he gets an important education, and we thank God for his ability. We pray every day that he doesn't get hurt.
Dat was off to College Station, and when he hit the practice field, he was certainly the oddest-looking Aggie A&M had ever seen.
I just assumed he was a punter. Next thing I know, I get my Sports Illustrated, I open it. He's in there, holding some crabs, talking about his high school and his unique story. I didn't figure a Vietnamese guy could come in here and play linebacker.
He couldn't. He was overweight and overmatched. They called him Fat Dat. He was red-shirted.
You had high hopes and high dreams, and you set goals, and you come up there, there's another 100 guys up there that as fast as you are, big as you are, as good as you are. And it's just one thing that just hits you, reality hits you. And then I was down for a while, and I didn't know what I wanted to do.
He did what Vietnamese Catholics have done for generations. He went to Mass, and he prayed. He thanked God for his talent, and in the spring, he rededicated himself to football. He turned fat to muscle, and he lifted and ran his way up the depth chart right behind All-American Trent Driver.
So it's the Wednesday before our opening game. Trent Driver rolls his ankle. And they're like, okay, well, Dad, you're second string, get in there, we've got to count on you now, come on, Dad. We really need you. He gets in there and just wrecks. He's killing people. He's just destroying them. Right there. The guy is amazing. And the coaches are on the sidelines like, I can't believe we didn't see this guy. And then that's all it took.
He started every game ever since.
First thing you hear is the helmets popping. A lot of times I don't even see the hit, I can just hear it.
When he decides to hit you, you can definitely hear it. It makes a damn noise.
They cheer so loud when Dat does well. so loud it gives me a headache.
He gives headaches to both opponents and teammates.
Game day, he's up before the sun is. He goes in there, takes a shower, and all you can hear is Garth Brooks coming out of there. And it's in, it's broken Vietnamese, English, it's just mixed, and it's horrible.
No one says who's dat anymore. For 3 straight seasons, he's led them in tackles as captain of the wrecking crew.
You know, when things are down, I try to encourage them, you know, try to give them up. You play better when everybody's on the same page. It's just the wrecking crew. I always be the wrecking crew, and that's 11 guys flying to get the ball and making plays.
Dat's the most popular player on campus, and he always has time for the 12th man, woman, or child. Especially one little Vietnamese boy who went to school in Bryan, Texas. His name was Wang Phan. He spoke no English and had no friends, so his teacher called A&M. Dad had many meetings with Wang, but it really only took one.
He just stood there with these big, huge eyes watching him and shook his hand and kept looking at him, and he was looking up and down, and I don't think he heard anything else. Dad started speaking to him, and that was it. Singer. His reading level came up about 3 years. Bleached. 2. All of a sudden, he had brand new friends. He was just always right in the middle of things. Come a long way.
And now he's more open up to his friends. Makes me feel great that he's doing that, and something for him to do instead of go mess around, you know, be in trouble or something.
When his teammates need him the most, Dat is always there. In last year's Cotton Bowl, he was a defensive player of the game with 20 tackles, 2 sacks, and an interception. In this year's Kickoff Classic, he was defensive player of the game again, adding 13 more tackles. Still, there are those who wonder if a freshman once too big is big enough to be a pro.
He is out there getting 15, 20 tackles a game. He's always around the ball. And I think that's the key for any college player that's going to try to play at the next level. The problem that you run into with that win is not the great physical ability, not tremendous size, not imposing physical ability. And that's going to be something that's going to have to be scrutinized when you get to that point.
They're right in a way, but just give me an opportunity. You know, just give me a chance. That's all I'm asking.
That's like his father. He finishes what he starts, and he will do well if he prays and works hard.
My parents, they left everything they had in Vietnam. Place to live, money. Came here with bare hands, with nothing, not knowing any English, you know, not knowing what to expect, all the risks they had. And it seems to me that when it's down, he always find a way out. And I think the same with my mom, and I think that's what I have. You know, when you're down and you're trapped, you always want to find a way out, and there will be a way out. There's always going to be that little light you're going to find.
That sounds exciting.
Hornaday and the Napa 250, today at 3:30 on ESPN.
Football is often compared to war. Mats Tonelli knows there's a big difference.
Usually to get into an NFL stadium, a ticket is required. But Mario Tonelli never has to buy a ticket as long as he lives. He has a special card.
What do you think of this card?
What is it, the National Football League?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. Why don't you go down to gate 1 and see if you can go in there?
You ever see one before?
No, sir, I
haven't.
How did you get this?
Oh, it's given me by the National Football League.
You've never seen one.
Don't you see any more of those?
It's the first one I've seen. So I get you in every game?
Any game but the Super Bowl.
Tonelli didn't receive his lifetime VIP pass for being an NFL star. Although when he joined the Chicago Cardinals in 1940, glory on the gridiron seemed a good bet. Motts was a hometown hero, but his NFL career was cut short by the service in 1941. Tonelli was stationed in the Philippines, and when World War II began, he was one of 70,000 soldiers captured by the Japanese. Though sick and fighting infection, these prisoners of war began the Bataan Death March.
The arrow up here shows you where we walked. 7 days, about 70 miles. And then up to here, we went on boxcars. Soldiers would die in the boxcar and they wouldn't fall down. That's how jammed we were in these boxcars. We had it figured out that if we lasted there so many days, I don't remember, the whole camp would have been wiped out.
Only 23,000 survived the march. Those who were left were put on a ship and faced an even more hellish journey.
It took us 64 days to go from Manila to Moji, Japan. And that was in the bottom of the boat, no toilets, no lights, very little air. The things that happened down there, it's not something to talk about that you would think would be human. We had no marking at all that it was a POW ship or anything like that. And they would turn the engine off, and you knew when they turned the screw off, the propeller, that they were in submarine territory. You could hear the American planes flying over it, and several of those boats were sunk and hit on the way to Japan. They called those the hell ships. When we landed in Japan, they gave us a number. It was just a little number. You'd sew it on your hat. It was 58, and that was my number at Notre Dame. It sort of cheered me up, you know. It gave me a feeling that I was going to make it.
After the war, fewer than 9,000 returned home. Motts lost more than 100 pounds.
I was stupid enough to think that I could come back and get healthy and play again. Yeah, it was my desire to play. And when Bidwell first told me that he would give me a contract, I felt happy about it. I'm grateful, very grateful for Charlie Bidwell. He really started my life again.
Charles Bidwell gave Motts something money can't buy. He gave Motts hope. The Cardinals got a war hero. Tonelli got something more.
The time you served in the Army counted towards your pension. So if it hadn't been for Charlie to give me the contract, I'd have never had the pension that I have today.
After 42 months as a prisoner of war, Mario could no longer compete at the NFL level. After a year, he left the Cardinals and entered politics, becoming the youngest Republican ever to serve as Cook County Commissioner in Chicago.
People in America don't realize how fortunate they are today. When you lose your freedom, you lose a lot of the stuff you have in you because you have no voice of anything you want to do. If they tell you to jump, you jump. There's been a big price paid for the freedom that we have today. And I don't want to talk about me. I'm talking about all veterans, all wars.
It's a freedom built on values, and in many ways, the game of football mirrors those same values: dedication, commitment, teamwork. Over time, many have worn the uniform of our country. Some have worn the uniform of our favorite team. Only a select few have been honored by wearing both.
I'm grateful for everything that I had to endure during my 82 years in the world. If I had to do it over again, if I had to do it over, I think I would do it.
When we drafted Tim Duncan,
Conference semifinals doubleheader. Coverage begins Thursday at 8 on ESPN2.
Just like any heavyweight fight, someone's got to throw the first punch.
Let's get ready to rumble. Ken Norton Jr. and Sr. join us for the NFL in the Ring next week on NFL Films Presents, which debuts each Tuesday at 8 p.m. on ESPN2. For other airtimes, check your local listings.
NFL Films Presents has